No, just click it.
Like a 1, 2, 3 go?
1, 2, 3. Click
No,
it.
3, 2, 1.
So the best part about all this being kind of a cluster is that I think it was Monday afternoon or possibly Tuesday that these guys remembered that I was supposed to do this and told me, oh, 10 seconds goes fast. So we're talking about help UX. Basically, you talk about me trying to get people to get more involved in UX and how we can help. I know most of you guys know me, but if not, so I'm actually now a principal UI UX designer here, which is exciting. I'm finishing up grad school this summer with my master's in UX, a background in design with my BFA at Mount Vernon, and I've done some computing front end and all that stuff. Wow. So, talk a little bit. Looks like there are some things missing from opening up on Alec's computer, but my path here to where I started out in graphic design, moved to marketing design, and then to design development director at my last job. But I felt like I wanted to know more about UX. Yep. So what is user experience? Well, we use it here at Cardinal. Everybody's got different versions of it, but I think it's important to understand, like, holistically. User experience kind of encompasses a lot of things. And I really like this umbrella that's popular now that kind of shows the gamut from user research and some of the upfront stuff all the way to more like the design things that you see most here and usability. Great, that's all that stuff. So user experience terms demystified. If you guys aren't familiar with some of those terms that are on there, usability, we don't do a lot of it here, but focuses more on how people are using things in actual formal testing. Visual design is what you see a lot with most of our guys with the visual comps and Photoshop, and then interaction where they're trying to figure out the in-betweens. Also, content strategy is really popular, talking more about voice and tone and how the content's being planned for. Obviously, information architecture you're familiar with, and then user research, which is what we've been winning more work of, which involves more upfront interviews and things like that. So, continuing on the what is the user experience thing, for me, it's kind of where these two worlds meet. So you have the user needs, the people who are actually using your product, and then like our product owners or business owners. And it's one of those two mix that like UX really becomes important, and that's like the sweet spot. What user experience is it? It doesn't mean painting pretty pictures in Photoshop or PowerPoint or Paint or any of those other programs. I think it's a myopic view to think that that's all like UX does here. It just so happens that that's the majority of the business that we've kind of won in the past, and that's kind of like the path we've been on. But UX is so much broader and can do so much more on your project. So who can do user research, which is like one of the big tenets that falls under the UX umbrella that I showed you. Really, I think you'd be surprised that even a lot of the big-time authors, they even say, like, yeah, first thing, hire me. But if you can't afford to hire me, go ahead and try to do it yourself. So what makes a good UX research person? You know, obviously I said professionals, but if not, individuals who, oh man, I'm missing all those icons, who are curious, who can show empathy, desire to help, and have really good soft skills. Let's talk a little bit about interviews. So interviews that we're seeing here at Cardinal more and more, really there's two types. One, we go in and talk to the actual users, or we go in and meet with the business sponsors or the product owners. And really, I'm going to go into the differences between the two of those, but they are separate, and you don't want to mix the groups. So, oh, jeez. Oh, man. So here's a little difference that I was mentioning before. So when I'm talking to stakeholders, one of the things that makes me upset the most is they want to get into these pet projects or features or things they want to talk about. But really, I want to know about business drivers, and then the users are actually people I want to talk to, and that's about their goals, motivations, and pain points. So another thing we can do really quick for a good quick hit is a competitive analysis. Now, I think a lot of people start hearing this, and they're like, what does that mean? Are you going to is this have to do with finances, or what are we really talking about? But this is more from a UX perspective, and I'm going to explain that more on the next slide. So when we're talking about a competitive analysis in terms of user experience, what we're really looking at is we're going to take a couple top competitors, and we're going to decide what we're looking at. So for example, if we're looking at an e-commerce site, we might look at their checkout process, and we say, okay, here's the people you're saying that are the best in the industry. This is the way they do the checkout process, and this is how you stand up against those. So I mentioned that every field has their own version, but even BI. But within IA and the UX world, we're really trying to figure out how to inform like the new design that we're working on. So there's a bunch of different styles, from long to short, that you can get into. And then aside from that, one of the things that I've been hearing a lot about, and it's really become more popular after Christina Halverson's book, Content Strategy for the Web, is starting to talk more about how you sound and the words that you say and moving away from lorem ipsum. So one of the techniques you can do, which is really cool, is called a message architecture exercise. Basically, you put together, I have like a 90+ list of adjectives printed out on cards, and you work with your stakeholders to start sorting those cards into who they want to be, who they are, and who they're not. Boom. So after you work through those, what you're trying to do is get rid of those who we are, who we aren't, and move into who they want to be is your end-all, be-all. So with those gone, you can take that list, but also as a UX person, I got off cadence. As a UX person that you're in the room, you want to try to give them some additional attributes the more you get to know them, at least suggestions, and then work to go ahead and take the new ones you suggested and what they came up with and create them into logical groupings with an overarching theme. So that way, anytime they're trying to figure out how are we supposed to stand, what's the design supposed to be like, they have a basis to put that back on. So collectively, to put those all together, stakeholder interviews, they're more on the project goals, definition of success. User interviews are focusing on actual user need, general attitudes. The competitive analysis gives you a good insight into what other people are doing in the marketplace. And then your message architecture allows you to really understand the branding and personality. And some people even say that words are cheaper than mock-ups. So if you want to learn more about user experience, obviously you can follow me on Twitter. We have the User Experience Book Club. We've had a really good attendance, like 20+ people in that right now. It's just been on a break because of winter. Arena Tech Night, sometimes we have UX tracks if we're lucky. And then there's the IXDA locally, and where you can just email me. So in a nutshell, that's how you can help me help UX. Yeah, thanks. It looked really awesome on.
I like the squares.
Yeah, sorry.
On my presentation.
Sorry about that.
I'll tell you some good swears.
Yeah, I'm really afraid to do mine now because I didn't test my PowerPoint presentation at this
If you try to use anything from Font Awesome, they don't show up on your.
Okay, well I didn't do that because I'm not a designer.
Help me help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's with that animation on it. So we'll just keep recording here and see
20
what
seconds.
And just see where we go?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Just do whatever.
The whole presentation under 6 minutes?
So welcome to developing for Kinect 2.0. This kind of started off as an I was on the bench thing. I thought it'd be a really good idea to sign up to do this without looking at that I was doing Code Mesh Week earlier. So, talk about why Kinect, and then we'll go through a bunch of demos on like cameras, body basics, audio basics. I lied about that one, audio basics I'm on there. Control basics, gestures, face a little bit, and then kind of show off an app.
Face, question mark?
If it works,
okay.
It's kind of spotty, and you never know how your actual environment's going to be. All right, so why do the Kinect 2.0? First off, it's a huge upgrade over Kinect 1.0. If anyone used it, it was kind of terrible. Development for it is actually way easier than you'd think. You'll kind of get to see that. And it's kind of fun because you're working with a fun piece of technology, I guess. The hardware is way more reliable than the first Kinect. That's still kind of a little bit of a lie because the hardware still isn't overly reliable, but it's way more reliable. Tons of opportunities in the space, for like building really cool apps. I mean, this isn't just for the Xbox One. You can do it for Windows, whatever. We've all kind of seen like Minority Report or whatever, so like that would be like one potential use for it if we ever got there, or like the medical field could really use something like that. I know Cardinal itself has developed an app, I think last year using the Kinect, where it was something with helping construction layouts. You could move it around with waving your hands in front of it. So there's tons of opportunities out for it. and the potential for vary, apparently. Potential for very cool, very cool opportunities, like I kind of talked about. So why not Kinect? That's the only sad Kinect thing you can find. So development,
because those are the.
yeah, apparently. So development for games, which is what it was really originally intended for, hasn't really taken off. Unless you want to play like 500 Dance Central games, there's not a whole lot out there. I think they originally intended it for, they thought you could play Call of Duty in front of this thing, and then they realized like no one wants to run standing in front of their screen for hours. So it really never took off. You've even seen Microsoft back off of the Kinect a bit. You know, originally when the Xbox One came out, you had to have a Kinect with it. It was like $100 extra. The thing wouldn't even run without the Kinect like attached to it. They made a whole bunch of software updates, basically ripping it out, and then are selling Xbox Ones without the Kinect. Now I don't even know if anyone's really buying those anymore. So Microsoft's plan hasn't really come together on it yet, but there are a bunch of developers out there actively trying to come up with cool things, like the one Cardinal did, that sort of thing. Really trying to resurrect the Kinect, and I mean the potential's there with the object. It's really cool. It's got like the best camera you'll find on the market, and when it comes to speech recognition, it's basically second to none. But again, it's still just not there. And kind of bringing this point all together, that unholy abomination is what NBA 2K15 apparently thinks I look like. As you can see, like my eyes are down there. My hairline is, so I've got two pairs of eyes, two mouths. My hairline is just, I don't know what's going on there. They came up with kind of a cool idea where you can scan your face onto your player, and the demo they show for it, it works really well. Now there's like an entire website dedicated to these horrible things happening, and it's mostly what the internet always does. People took their cats and started putting it in front of their Kinects.
It's like a Japanese Hello Kitty.
With like 3 sets of eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that thing is slightly horrifying and will keep me up at night. But so obviously, but like it's a cool idea, and ideas like that are there. It's just didn't come together. And this took 20 minutes of sitting in front of the Kinect to come up with.
Looks like you're working out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking pretty ripped and slightly darker. But yeah, no. So yeah, the potential's there. It hasn't come together yet. Yeah, you sit there for 20 minutes and it has this really cool interface where it's like, turn your head left slowly, turn your head right slowly, and then it like builds your face with all these like bits flying around and everything, and it's like, oh, it's looking really cool, and then this comes out. And you're like, I don't know what this is. All right, so for some demos. Again, I'm going to apologize. I imagine myself doing it on the computer and not the thing, so running demos might be a little bit harder. So the first one is this body basics demo. And so actually, I hit the wrong button. Thank you. All right, so when you go and get the Kinect, to develop for the Kinect is actually super easy. There's a SDK you go and download, and it's totally free. So if you have Visual Studio, 2012, 2013 preferably, because a lot of the stuff they have, there's some weird backwards compatibility issues where they'll have built the thing in 2013, and you try to turn it in 2012, and it just kind of blows up on you.
Especially, all right. Oh, Tika had a question. Sorry.
Can you take the Kinect off the Xbox One and use it on your PC?
Yeah, this Kinect is the one that came with my Xbox One. Actually, yeah, I should kind of talk about that. So the adapter for it, or to actually plug it right into your PC, you can't do, because it's got this specific Kinect for Windows whole thing is like $200, so just getting the it's like the world's most complicated adapter, so I kind of see why it was so much. You have to plug it into this, and then this turns into a USB that goes into the computer, and then it has to have a power source too, and then half the time your computer recognizes it's there. So, awesome.
How much is the Mac adapter?
I didn't look into that. You can go and find out and let me know, because I'd be really interested.
I know how much it is to build one.
Yeah. But yeah, so once you've gotten that, so there's $50 for the adapter, which kind of sucks. Or if you don't even have the Kinect, it's like $200 altogether, which also kind of sucks. But if you already have the Xbox One like I had, and already had the Kinect, I just went and bought the adapter. And from there, the actual SDK for it is completely free. So you just go and get the SDK, download it, gives you all the files and crap you already need. So like I didn't even have to go and add any references or anything. It was basically already set up for me. I mean, I had to add the references once I was in the project, but you get what I mean. So from there, you also get like this SDK browser, and there's like a Kinect Studio too, which I'll show off. But yeah, these are the two basic things you end up using. The browser is cool. It's just like a whole bunch of examples on how to use your Kinect. You can, a lot of them, there's like, you can get the code behind, which you just get from doing install, or if you don't want to have to bother with the code behind, you can just do run from here, and it'll just run the app right out of the browser. So it's pretty cool. And again, there's a bunch of them I'll run through. But the first one is this body basics thing, which claims it's still debugging. So hopefully this just works. So the Kinect just kind of, as long as you have it attached, it just kind of goes and does its own thing. So you'll see that it's got my body, depending on where you stand, it gets a little more reliable. So you can see like my leg is a little more reliable now. And there's a couple other people have shown up. It can track up to 6 people simultaneously.
What's that guy doing?
Looks like he's just chilling or something.
Just moving around.
But
That looks really inappropriate.
yeah, it really does. So yeah, this is pretty much how Kinect development goes. Just a lot of laughing and stuff not really working right. It's still fun though. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
What are the spheres that are showing up around the hand?
So the spears you see, so when I'm just kind of waving around, I kind of lose the spear sometimes. But after a while, it gets a little more confident where it knows where I am. So then the spears kind of show up. All the spears are doing are representing what my hands are doing, and I'll show you the code that's doing it. But like when my hands are open, it's green, and when they close, it's red. And I forget what blue does. But blue shows up there eventually. Yeah, right. I don't know what it's doing.
Wiggle your fingers.
Yeah. So hands are like really bad with it, as you can see. Like I'm just standing there calmly, and hands are kind of like just jumping around, or maybe I'm skittish and I don't know it. But the rest of the body is really, really good at tracking, and you can see there's a whole bunch of points that it's tracking. And I'm gonna attempt to point to myself. But this is just gonna get weird. But yeah, so like there's all these joints right here. There's like your kneecap. It's getting really bad with my feet because I'm not really in its view, so it's just kind of guessing where my legs are at times. So that's why you see those like non-solid lines. But it's really good at guessing where your body parts are. Until I turned around and then everything went to crap. So I didn't see that. But yeah, no, I mean it's pretty cool overall. So the actual, first off, don't try like debugging this stuff ever, because it's always it's doing everything it does is a frame. So if you've ever done draw clipped edges, draw hand, draw line, where is it? Body, frame, receive. All right. So if you've ever done like web forms building or anything, it's kind of similar to that, where you've just got a lot of events attached to different stuff rather than like an MVC or anything. But so like the big one is this reader.frame arrived, and it's just going through every single frame that you get. So like I said, debugging is basically a crapshoot because it's sending so many frames. If you're trying to like debug like yourself standing in front of it, it's not going to happen. But Outside, so most of it is kind of guess, unless you want to like go over one exact frame. But you can see, so we've got like our image that'll come in. The Kinect sensor is null initially, and then we come into main window, which is basically like your start. So as I was talking about, it's really easy to get this stuff. To actually just get a hold of the sensor, it's just Kinect sensor.get default, and it just goes and finds whatever sensor is currently on your computer and just runs with it. So that's like super easy, right? From there, you've got stuff like frame descriptions. We'll kind of get into. You've got your width and height that you're actually displaying. Body frame reader, which is basically how you're going to find your bodies. They go in and add bones and stuff. They end up drawing this all out, and then they've got some colors. So if we go to frame arrived, oh, that's where they attach the event in the main window loaded. All right, so it gets the body frame. It just acquires whatever one's currently there. Basically, this fires off every time the event goes. Gets the body, makes sure that it actually received data, puts together a drawing group, and then here's where it starts drawing out all the stuff you saw. So it grabs some body colors, starts finding the actual body points, starts grabbing their positions and stuff, draws it out. So it's a pretty simple, super simple program. And then there's where it's drawing out the hands. And if we look at draw hand, I can talk. So you get your hand state in here. Again, this stuff is just super easy. Hand state.close, hand state.open, hand state.lasso. I'm not sure what that one is.
See that blue?
Yeah, I guess that's the blue one. I guess if I was doing this, that must have been it. But as you can see, this is all like just pre-built stuff you get from the SDK. So you got hand state.close, hand state.open. I didn't even have to do anything to figure out if my hand was open or closed. Kinect's pre-built SDK already did that sort of stuff. And then from there, I drew out an ellipse with whatever color I wanted. I think hand close brush was the red or green or something, and the other one was the other color. So it's a super simple program, but you can see like all this stuff is really, really easy to use. It was pre-built for me. It's pretty cool.
Is it available in any other languages?
So far, I've only seen it in C# when I've got it from the Kinect Studio. I haven't really tried to do it with other languages. They really push XAML apps with C# backgrounds for it. I would guess because they're doing a lot of stuff with Xbox One, a lot of those developers use C++ and stuff. So I would guess there's probably you can do it in C++. As for like Java or anything, I haven't seen anything for Java.
And that Motorly brought up, it's all C++.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm assuming C++ is what you can do, because pretty much all game development is in C++.
I looked up the lasso hand state on MSDN, and its description is the hand is in the lasso state.
Okay, so MSDN continues to MSDN.
Lasso state. Maybe it's like rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it to show a couple times randomly. I just don't really know what my hand was doing. Ricky Bobby.
Lasso, yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
rock
lasso.
is closed, paper is open, the lasso is no.
Lasso's not rock, paper, scissors.
There's no lasso in that game.
Rock, paper, scissors, lasso.
This isn't the same one, is it? Oh, okay. So this one just kind of quickly shows off the whole body index. So we saw the skeleton thing in the last one. This one, it starts trying, and these are 3D models. I'll kind of show this a little bit later. You're only seeing it in 2D right now. But so it doesn't just track your skeleton. It also tries to track like your entire body. As you can see, it's actually pretty accurate at this. You can see like my hand like going in front of my body. Huh? Yeah, I am looking. I am looking fatter than I thought, which sucks, but whatever. And half my head is gone, so I apparently moved down here. But yeah, you can see though, it's cool stuff. Like, well, nope, now I lost my hand. So Wait,
Do
it's
the
back.
It's looking for a lasso.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, you can see my hand. It does a pretty good job of tracking depth, and
That's a cool pose.
yeah, and yeah, it looks like Palpatine or something. But yeah, so these are actual. The reason it's doing this is because there's actual 3D models. And you know, the second it kind of like goes past this, and I'll show this because I've got a couple other things that actually like do angles. But it's actually like it starts assuming where it thinks parts of my body end and stuff, which is why I can like kind of create this 3D model. It does a really, really good job of tracking. But even if I'm not doing that, I mean, it pretty much captures my entire body, which is pretty sweet. Expedite this a little.
Lasso this in.
It all comes back to lasso. All right, so the control basics one is a little more complicated, kind of hard to go through, but I'll do my best here. Oh, and that was not as small last time I did this, but all right. So theoretically, I should be able to wave my hand in front of this thing and see. There it goes. And you can like, so yeah, my hand showing up is basically pre-built into the app. And from there, like all this being interactive and stuff is just how I set up the XAML for it, which is, you know, for those who haven't used XAML, it's just Microsoft's like app version of HTML. It's pretty similar. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, obviously there are differences, but if you use HTML, you can figure your way through it. But yeah, so all this stuff is pretty much built in. Doing that sort of gets really exhausting after a while. Of holding your arm like this, but like, so this right here I'll show is just like a zoomable photo, and like literally all you had to do, and I'll show the XAML for this, is like you set it up as just like a, there's already a pre-built object for it, and you just put your image in it, and from there like I can do stuff like that by just like, and the Kinect is basically doing all this for me. Pretty much all this stuff is happening by just having created the controls and adding a Kinect sensor to it. So you can create apps like this pretty easily. This is working entirely too reliably right now. I will show that. So it doesn't, for that thing, it doesn't, oh man, there's too many people in here, it's all gone to crap.
What is this?
But this one, when I was doing it at home, I promise you, there were just two of these things. It's tracking both of my hands right now. So you could play like some sort of crazy Pong against yourself or something if you wanted to. The hand you're seeing, the one that's just like kind of flying around up there, that's like the control hand, whatever you want to call it. That's the one you would use for most of your apps and stuff. But if you wanted to build like a game or something, you wanted to use both hands, it's perfect. Well, I almost said perfectly. Obviously not. But it is capable of tracking both hands, which is pretty cool. I think that green one there is my other hand. I don't know why it's green. And then there's yellow. So just kind of show how that's working real quick. The scroll. So I mentioned that this was like super easy. Yeah, you just create this like scroll viewer, and you can see the type was just a scroll viewer, and they just put a picture in it, and from there the Kinect handled the rest of this. Like all this stuff pretty much came pre-built when you add like the, if you've ever added like little parts into an app before. Pretty much all this stuff came in, like you see Kinect region, zoom mode, all that stuff. It was thrown in there. You can change the values around if you want. If you could see this over here, I love that thing. Oh, now it's gone. You can change them over there. You can change it in there. It just kind of depends what you want to do. Again, it's pretty similar to like HTML if you've ever used it. And then there's code behind. All right, so this one is for the pointer one we just saw. There's like a pointer move thing going on, which is like the hands we saw moving around. And it ends up like creating, there's a render pointer. They made it private down here. And this is where like the green brush and stuff was getting created. Again, a lot of this stuff came pre-built, so it gave us is engaged. Like it already figured out if from the Kinect point properties, whatever. Figured out if my hand was like what kind of motion my hand was in. So if it was like moving around, if it was just sitting around, gave me the position, figured out unclamp position. Pretty much all this stuff was like pre-built, so I didn't have to do like anything to get this to work, which is pretty cool. And then again, to illustrate that sample viewer thing, yeah, again, I did nothing. There's no code behind for that whatsoever. Just threw the front end thing on there, told it was Kinect control, and I was able to do the rest. So building apps for it is actually pretty easy, pretty cool, because you really don't have to do that much. Let's jump to the face basics. Okay, so this is the one I was questionable about if it's going to work, especially with like so many people in here. So we'll just kind of see. Oh, and I left the debugging thing in there. As I said, debugging in here is a crap. And I left it out. Okay, so someone is very unhappy. I'm not sure who it's tracking since it didn't feel the need to. Okay, so it's found me. Unknown, yeah, that sounds about right. But you can see all this other information on there, like wearing glasses, left eye closed. Yeah, figured that out pretty reliably. Right eye closed, yeah, mouth open as usual. Mouth moved, looking away. I'm not sure what the face yaw, pitch, and all that stuff is, but it sounds pretty cool.
So you tilt your head and go up, turn your head down, and
You know, it lost me when I completely went up. So there's a barrier.
So that's your pitch, right?
Yeah. But so this is a really horrible smile, but now it thinks I'm smiling. So that's pretty cool.
Switch to terrifying.
I think so.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I'll show you the stuff that's doing that too. But again, like all the stuff, I pretty much had to do nothing. And
yeah, that's.
okay, so there's this face frame features thing here. Gets all that stuff we were just looking at. I think there's more features, but these are just the ones I went with. There's like, you know, we saw the yaw, there's glasses, happy, looking away, mouth moved, all that stuff. And then if I go down a for loop that prints all that stuff out. Face frame arrive. Draw face frame results. Lips. That's good. Where did it go? Oh, okay. I was just looking at it. Oh well. Well, it's in there somewhere. There's a for loop that's going in through all of those face frame features and printing out all the labels and stuff you just saw. And it's just printing out the value of each of those. So happy was false, like you guys saw. And then all the other ones. So again, all that stuff was pre-built. I had to do really nothing, really simple stuff. So the last thing I really want to show off, and this one's probably the most complicated, is how. So if you want to create your own gestures, because like there's pre-built gestures like doing like this, or I think this is the main one when you want to like get Kinect's attention. But say you wanted to like create one like this, there's nothing built for that, so you have to go and build your own. They actually make it pretty easy. You could have like a BI person do it. Not that BI people are bad, but that's not how that not how that was meant. Next Studio. I've got entirely too many things open right now. There. All right, I found it eventually.
So easy.
Nope, that's not it. One of these is my Kinect Studio, I think. I told it to open.
That's what's up right now.
That is? Oh, okay. Well, I was looking at the Google Hangouts. My bad. All right. So the Kinect Studio, if this works, if not, I built my own, or I did record my own. Half the time, yeah, so it says not connect. Oh, sweet, it connected. So like half the time it doesn't connect. But like right now, so I'm just like standing in front of it. You can see again, it's like trying to figure out where my stuff is. You can see all this weird angle and stuff you're seeing.
What am I doing?
Yeah, what do I do with my hands? So like this weird angle and stuff you're seeing. That's actually because it's 3D. If you look, you can see like part of my body starting to fade out and stuff. That's kind of like it trying to figure out my depth and crap. They've got some stuff that they haven't released to just straight up developers because it's still in production. But they have some stuff that's way more accurate than what you're seeing there, where it actually attempts to figure out where the back of my head is and stuff.
Is that like face back from the other guys?
I don't know. I haven't seen Faceback, but they do have some stuff that I think they've only released to like their super hardcore developers that are making like high-profile games and stuff for them. But it actually tries to figure out where the back of my head is and stuff. Basically, draws my entire body without seeing my entire body, which is pretty cool.
Just FYI, the other guys was a movie with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Cops. He developed an app that if you took a picture of the back of someone's head, it could tell you what their face looks like.
Oh, okay.
Or vice versa.
All right. Yeah, I remember that now. All right. So just do a quick recording. So I want to be able to, so I'll just start here and do like this. Probably did that too fast, so time. Real slow.
What are we looking for?
I was just doing that motion I was talking about. So
Okay.
right now this isn't a registered motion that Kinect knows what to do with, right? So if I want to create one, I make this recording, leave it there. It saved itself already, theoretically. Then I go to, there's this Kinect gesture viewer thing. Oh, yeah, dude, Katy Perry's hot.
What?
It was on his recently played list.
I haven't recently played it. It is on my iPhone, but
The only song to listen to.
I love me some Katy Perry. Don't hate.
I'm not hating.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
It's gonna be my ringtone.
All right, so there's this visual gesture builder thing, and usually I have more screen.
Or do the bottom right for the
Oh, no.
focal point of perspective.
Okay, so I don't know why they picked that as the default perspective. That's just the default perspective. But you can, once I put the little app in there, you'll see that you can like jump this around. So we'll just create a new solution. I want to add an existing project. Create new project. Okay, so from here, you can tell it like which parts of the body you want it to pay attention to. I'm going to leave it on any, but you can pick like just the left side, just the right side. There's discrete versus continuous. Continuous, I haven't used it, but from what I understand, that's for like really, really in-depth videos you've made, where you've just got like a small piece of video and you just want to keep looping over the same thing over and over, but it like eats up like way more resources and stuff, so people tend to stay away from that. But from there, you can also add these settings and stuff like duplicate and mirror data during training. Use hands, so you can tell it to pay attention to the hands from the video. You can tell it to ignore left arm, right arm, whatever you want to do. I'll tell it to leave the hands on. And you can tell it to ignore lower body. Again, because of how people stand in front of the Kinect most of the time, it's just guessing where the lower body is. So if you tell it to just completely ignore the lower body, there's a chance you'll get a better gesture recognition because it doesn't give a crap about what's going on down there. All right. And screw that. figure out where it's actually saved that to. It's got a weird save link. Ah, here it is. Copy that. Head. And save. Go in there. Add. Oh no. Add clip. All right, so I'll go with this new clip I added. Hopefully it's going to open. Oh, right. Down to the clip. All right, so there's the clip I just made. Usually I have a little more screen to work with. But you can see, so yeah, I don't know why it chooses that as the little default thing, but then you've got 3D. Down here, you can go through the clip. Found myself. Again, so kind of illustrate what I was talking about. Again, I look fat.
Well, half your back's missing.
Yeah, so half, yeah, actually it looks a little better now. But yeah, so half of me is missing because it doesn't attempt to draw out that back. Again, they have some stuff that is attempting to draw that out. But for my guy, it's not. It's got track of my skeleton, so I'm going to find the point in here and hope. Okay, I'm going to say that's what I want. I go over here and put the value as true. Which, so I basically taken this little clip. I said when you see something like this clip, that's basically a flag saying, hey, it worked by putting it as true.
With everybody in the room or just the main person?
Well, it's only tracking my skeleton.
Okay.
So I haven't actually attempted to do this with 15 other people, so we'll see how well it works. But theoretically, it's going to work fine because it's only tracking me right there. So, sorry. Save that.
You can track up to 2 people, right, at the same time?
It can track up to 6 people.
Oh, wow, really?
That's what they say. I've never actually attempted to do that because I think they might be fitted.
If you live in a loft, right?
Right.
Looking for the plan.
Okay, so see how well this actually works. Yeah. That little square you see in there is basically like it's giving you a reading on how well it's detecting the gesture. So if I get lucky at all, it should. It's not going to do it, is it?
On time, how long it takes, or just to match what the end position
I
was?
think you were more turned to the other side, more turned towards Alex.
Yeah. It's only tracking.
Is it looking at me?
Yeah. So you see, it's only tracking someone off in that corner. I don't
Maybe
know.
Alex should just do it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Stand up.
Yeah. Try
Stand
standing up.
Do a jumping jack.
You just
Push-ups.
It's kind of you have to do it like kind of slow.
More on the shoulders.
More on the shoulders.
Do a perfect push. Wiggle a little bit.
Well, who?
You can
Usually,
imagine what it'd be like.
you can imagine what. Let me try one more thing. It normally does, making me sad, like a sad panda.
Okay, you're officially a front-end developer after that reason.
Yeah.
You guys are pretty mild around here.
So easy to someone in VI could do it.
Right? It was at home. I swear, at home, this was working fine.
We should call it VIN.
I wasn't trying to rip on that's what Microsoft even says in their own video, which is why I mentioned it. They're like, you don't have to have developers working on this. You can have a group of like VI people just sitting there creating these gestures for your developers.
I'm a gesture developer.
So Microsoft is just as nasty as me. Not how I meant that.
Or you're just as nasty as Microsoft.
I didn't mean for it to go like that.
That's Microsoft, no one cares.
And Dove said.
Okay, so it's got me this time. There we go. See, I told you it would work. Yeah.
That's how
So
close you are to the actual.
usually, I mean, it's
Like
not. Normally, you have way more recordings than just that one small recording I had. Usually they take like a crud ton of recordings so that they get way high. I mean, right now it's pretty low. How much you're actually getting out of this.
So if it was a perfect match, it'd be all the way up to the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, as close to a perfect match as you can get. It will usually be all the way up to the top because I just did one like sample thing.
So it's just a threshold matching.
Yeah, so it gives you an idea of how well the recordings you've made work, and then you can go and include those in your apps pretty easily and be able to make like games or whatever. He's having entirely too much fun with that.
Yeah.
All right, so to wrap this up, I'll just show off one last little thing that should work theoretically way better than that did. Which is like that.
There's an HTML thing. Can you do layouts with HTML?
I haven't tried it with HTML because I'm just worried that if I attempt to do that, it will blow up spectacularly on me. But yeah, they do claim that there are HTML versions of this that work fine. I think that it's not an actual web app.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, no, it's not an actual web app. So if anyone's done like any Windows 8 app development or anything, they give you the option to do it as XAML or as HTML apps. So it's not an actual HTML app, or like not an actual web app, but you're building up all the controls and stuff you see in HTML. And it's actually kind of a ripoff because they just go and put an HTML viewer in their XAML app, and you just write your HTML into this HTML viewer, but it's still actually technically a XAML app.
I see.
But that's an off subject. And so this last one just shows off a bunch of the cameras that are pretty cool. Eventually.
I have a question. I know some guys at work, they took a Wii remote and the remote control, because it has the camera in that, and they used that as a sensor and took like an infrared light and triggered it to a pen. So every time they like press the pen down, it triggers the light. So they turned their regular projector into like a touchscreen projector. They've got a camera behind, so they can go do that. Can you write the Kinect apps to integrate with other apps, or are they standalone, or like could you write this to over top of another? You know?
I haven't attempted to do that. From what I've seen, you pretty much have to make like Kinect specific apps.
Okay.
There might be a way to make it integrate with other apps. I think I was talking to Adam Essenmacher the other day. He was talking about how he wants to attempt to do something kind of like that, but with an AR drone, where he would have like a Kinect app, talk to his AR drone, he could drive it around, hopefully using Kinect. But
I saw someone did that at Star Trek. They controlled a drone with Google Glass, and where they would like turn their head and do that. So I imagine it would be that.
Yeah, I imagine you could probably pull something off like that.
But I would love to see like just hey, this is click, this is double click, this is hold or something like that control.
So like Alec, Cardinal actually built an app for professional companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was one app, right? That wasn't like, hey, this is a Kinect interpreter that works with other apps, right?
Oh, I see. So like, okay.
So you just have the camera running, and you can control your normal PC or do something like that. So like just have the process running in the
For
background.
that app that they built, you could do the same thing with the mouse.
There's a bunch of examples.
Like it was just an alternate input.
So that's exactly what I was asking. Okay.
Cool. All right, so to just show off a couple last second things. So it's got a pretty reliable infrared camera, as you can see there, which for a Microsoft product is great. So, I mean, it does require a good amount of lighting, but you can kind of skate by on the infrared camera. This over here is like an audio thing that it's going to do its best to guess where audio is coming from, which is pretty nice. And then you can see how the that's coming through. And then there's all these different cameras down here. So we've already seen the body joints one. Microsoft also uses this little Blockman thing that kind of fleshes out the body a little more. I think that's like the main one they end up using anyways. And it kind of looks cool. And then there's depth of color. But the Blockman one is one that's really good for figuring out how reliable things are. So my leg over here is red, means it really can't figure out what the heck's going on over there. Same kind of with my arm. But you can see like it's doing a really good job of tracking all the different joints. All right, so I think my time is pretty much just about up. So does anyone have any more questions or anything?
Is this resource intensive on your computer? Like it seems to be working pretty quick, but did it ever like bog down on you?
I've never had it bogged down. We can take a quick look at what it's actually doing.
But or do you have like a super like souped up?
This computer is about 2 years old now. I mean, it does have like 16 gigs of RAM and stuff, so I mean, it's not like a featherweight by any means.
It's the Cardinal laptop.
Yeah, so right now it looks like I'm using it's using up about like 38% of my computer's CPU, but then not actually a whole heck of a lot of memory. I know when it comes to the actual Xbox One, they had to scale back a lot of what it was doing because originally they had it always on and always scanning and stuff. And no, exactly. But developers were getting kind of PO'd because they were trying to develop the same games for PlayStation and Xbox One, and it was annoying them because 3 gigs of RAM of like I think 16, no, maybe 8 for the Xbox One were being reserved at all times for the Kinect. So they're eating, and they don't have the same restrictions with the PS4. So they've actually released some stuff where developers can turn off the Kinect, which basically puts in like this standby mode where like these bars go away, that little you just see like the Kinect thing is on, so it's still listening for commands and stuff. So you can be like Xbox Home, it'll go home, but it's not doing anything else because it was pretty intensive on the actual Xbox One. I don't think it's doing as much on my Windows computer because it's not sitting there like waiting for me to say Windows Home or something. Which is probably why you see a big difference. But yeah, on my computer, it's not eating up too much.
Do you have a demo for the heart rate reading?
I have not tried that, no.
Do they have an example?
I haven't seen one. Most of this I based off of their Microsoft Virtual Academy, and if you guys don't have a Microsoft Virtual Academy account, you can just get through your live account. It's completely free, and they've got tons of sweet stuff on there. But they didn't have anything for the heart rate. I know some people have developed for it, but I haven't seen any like free software or how-tos on it.
That blows my mind now. I'm curious
Yeah,
to see how that
the
works.
exercise apps use that a lot. I know my friends at home. That's another place that these are going really well is with exercise apps. My friends use it all the time on their Xbox One. They've actually like lost like 20 pounds doing it or something.
I had the Nike Fitness one for the Xbox 360.
Mhm.
That was kind of hit or miss, if you're trying to do anything in your like little tiny living room. It doesn't work so well. But I was just curious how the heck the heart rate monitor works.
Yeah, I've heard it's really, really good on this, but I couldn't find anything out there on it. I think they might have some proprietary stuff on that. They don't want that open source. Anything else?
I like it. I was including an applause slide.